Welcome to the Rabid Badgers training video series. In this one, we'll be going through ACE Advanced Medical. Now, we use the ACE Advanced Medical settings, however we do not use ACE Advanced Blood. That means all blood bags and saline all give the same amount and they don't spoil. Now we're joined here by our friend, the bugged out AI. We'll be doing a demonstration. Now, you're going to want to approach them and hit H. This will bring up the medical menu. As you can see, it brings up a display of them. It'll show their damaged limbs. And for different limbs, you get special settings. For arms and legs, you can give them medication. And that's also how you check their pulse and their blood pressure. Their limbs are going to be your primary way of checking those. Selecting the chest gives you the chance to do CPR, and all of you should be using the ACE Advanced mod. That gives you AEDs, automated external defibrillators. You only need to use these if they don't have a pulse. Let's check his pulse. He has no heart rate. That means he's soon going to die. The thing is, anyone can do CPR. When you do CPR, it'll reset the death timer. This is essential if they have no heart rate and anyone can do CPR. If someone has no heart rate and you have a medic and someone else, you're going to want them to do, the other person to do CPR while you work on them. We also have AEDs. Those can work a lot better than CPR. Now, because he's bugged out, he's not going to die. Normally, you have a limited time before that person's dead. Once you see them die in chat, that's it. Alright, let's move on to wound types. You'll see he has avulsions and large velocity wounds, along with some bruises. Bruises, they're self-explanatory. Avulsions is the forceful separation of flesh from muscle. For example, if your vest catches it, but your flesh is separated. Large velocity wounds, you got a bullet hole in you. Some wound types that we're not going to see, but I'll cover anyways, are lacerations, large cuts that will bleed rapidly, cuts, self-explanatory, crushed tissue, that is an extreme bruise that can also include internal damage. We've covered avulsions. Abrasions. Think of carpet burn, except a medical emergency. Contusions. Again, another type of severe bruise that can include excuse me. They can include head trauma. Puncture wounds, self-explanatory. Velocity wounds, we've covered those. Those are bullet holes. And those are all of the wound types. Now, different wound types need different bandages to be most effective. Contusions use elastic bandages. Punctures use quick clot bandages. Velocity wounds use packing bandages. Lacerations and cuts and crushed tissue all use basic bandages. Avulsions use packing bandages, and abrasions use quick clot. Now, we're going to start medicing this boy. Now, for any wound, the truly fastest bandage are elastic bandages. You only want to use elastic bandages if you're out of combat. Elastic bandages may be the most effective, but they have the highest reopen rate. If the person has to start moving around, those wounds are going to reopen and they'll start bleeding again. Again, only use elastic bandages out of combat. Otherwise, use one of the bandages listed before. That way, you can get your boy right back into combat if needed. I'm going to finish medicing this boy. Something to keep in mind is, as a medic, you are the most important part of your squad. Even the team leader is less important than you. You will never be a vehicle gunner unless you absolutely have to. You're the most vulnerable as the gunner. You'll never lead the squad unless you absolutely have to. And even then, you'll give orders from behind the others. Now, you'll see each wound is blue, and you'll see the little B there, that's for bandaged, and the color will have changed, that's to show that it has been bandaged. You need to get yourself a surgical kit, always. Those allow you to stitch wounds. Oh, our boy died. Now, we'll start some medical on our guy here. The problem with AI is they will not show specific wounds. They'll show light, medium, or heavily wounded. So, we'll just use some elastic and then sew our boy up. Now, he has regular vitals, but if someone is unconscious, before you stitch them, always check their vitals. Good blood pressure, good pulse. You'll see response, not responsive. Honestly, response is not useful. It just tells you if they're unconscious or not. Let's move on to medication. See, morphine, atropine, and epinephrine. Each one has a different use. Morphine is to stop pain. Epinephrine increases pulse and can wake troops up. Atropine lowers pulse. If someone's pulse is too high from epinephrine overdose, use some atropine on them. Now, morphine. If you give someone more than one morphine within 10 minutes, they can overdose. 3 within 10 minutes, they'll almost definitely overdose. 4 is a guaranteed overdose. You'll see he's not in pain, so morphine is not needed. Now, you'll see in quick view their history of what you've done to them, well, and activity log. Okay, so, with blood pressure, pardon me, with blood pressure, it should be under 160 over 160. The first number is the one over the second. It should be over 20 over 100. Perfect blood pressure is 110 over 160. If a troop has lost blood, their blood pressure will drop. So, if their blood pressure is low, you need to give them some blood. Saline, plasma, whatever. Pulse should be between 80 and 110 to awaken. At the very lowest 60, at the very highest 115. Once their pulse is outside those two, they'll begin to hear a slow heartbeat for a low pulse, or rapid loud heartbeat for a high pulse. For high pulse, again, use atropine. For low pulse, use epinephrine. Now, let's run through what you should do in what order. If the person is awake, first things first, ask about pain. Default, it'll show white flashing on screen. If more than half their screen is flashing, give them a morphine and an epinephrine. The epinephrine will stop the pulse drop from giving them morphine. Again, no more than 2 morphines within 10 minutes. Even then, with 2, there's a chance they OD. 1 to be safe. Ask if their screen is grayscale, if color starts leaving. That means they've lost a lot of blood and they're going to need more. Ask about their heartbeat. if they hear a loud heartbeat, whether it's fast or slow. If they're unconscious, check their vitals first. If they have no heart rate but haven't died in chat or ragdolled for AI, have someone else do CPR while you work. That'll reset the revive timer. Tourniquet any bleeding limbs. Tourniquets will stop bleeding in that limb. Obviously, you can't use it on their torso or their head. Let's stick one on his leg for now. You'll see that it shows in yellow, tourniquet, CAT. Next up, stem any bleeding on their head and torso, because you can't tourniquet it. Then, move on to the most damaged limb, slowly working your way to the least damaged. Again, elastic works best, but only use it out of combat. Remember, the best bandages for each situation. Now, check their vitals again, but not on a tourniqueted limb. Tourniquets interfere with vital readings. Generally, you're just going to want to check their chest. Next up, if needed, hit them with epi, atropine, or morphine. Remember that morphine will cause a pulse drop. Next, give a 250 of saline if their blood pressure is low. If it says that they've lost a lot of blood, give a full liter. If they won't wake up, but they're stable, use a personal aid kit or pack. Sew all wounds before using a pack. Again, if someone is unconscious but stable, use a pack. Packs will completely reset their medical history and wake them up. That means if, say, someone overdosed on morphine, it'll leave their system if you pack them. However, the more wounds they have on them, the longer a pack takes. If they have open wounds, it'll take well over a minute, and chances are they'll bleed out. If wounds haven't been sewed, it'll still take significantly more time, so always sew them. Now, we're going to pack our boy here, and I'm going to remove that tourniquet. If a tourniquet has been left on for 5 minutes or more, it'll cause pain. You'll see that's going pretty quick because I've sewn up his injuries. Now, let's get this boy up. And he's awake. Now, with the ACE Advanced Medical mod, on a limb, if the limb has been damaged, say their leg has been heavily damaged, even after you sew them, they'll have a limp. If their arm was heavily damaged, then they will have extremely wavering aim. It'll suck. They won't be able to hit anything. But, unless you pack them, that'll stay. But with the ACE Advanced mod we also have splints. Splints will stop that effect, however, they can still fall off in combat. If you're sprinting all over the place getting shot in again, the splint can fall off. Now, if someone gets injured in combat in a live fire zone, first things first, you need to have a clear path to them. I'm going to add some smokes to my inventory for the next demonstration. If you absolutely have to pull them out in combat, hit Control Shift. That'll open up Ace Throw, and you can switch the throwing type. Scroll wheel up for a short throw, scroll wheel back down for a long throw. You want to toss out multiple smokes, some on the way to them, and at least one right on top of them. Now, if it's extremely windy like it is now, you're not going to get nearly as much smoke cover. But you're still going to have to run right up to them. First, hit 0 to sprint faster, get up near them, bring up the medical menu. You would click drag/carry and drag them. Now you need to be going combat pace for that. That means if you have your gun up when you move, you need to double tap C. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in place while dragging them. Carrying takes a long time to get them on your back. In a combat situation, you just need to get them around the corner and into cover. Now, if possible, have your allies take out the enemies that have fired on them. At the very least, have your allies give you suppressive fire. Try to keep those guys in cover while you drag your boy back. Never ever try to treat anyone in an open area. You're going to want to get them inside buildings like this if possible. Otherwise, at the very least, drag them around a corner. You can't heal them if you're down too. Now, I suggest you go back through this, go at the very least through the bandage types. Now, you'll see in the interact, you can check their limbs and do various things like this. Don't do it. Always use the medical menu. It gives you more treatment options and gives you more info, so you can even see what's already been done to them so you don't overdose them. Keep that in mind. That concludes our medical training.